Hallelujah!
Welcome to ADHD Whiskey. My name is Matt. Today, day number 6 of the Minnesota Whiskey Elite Blind Whiskey Tasting Advent Calendar. You may recall from yesterday's video I was telling you about how sick I'm not and how the future looks great. Unfortunately, last night at Bowling League, I ran into a gentleman who was sick. And by ran into, I mean he bowls on the same team as me. He looked whiter than Sean Paisley doing snow angels on a kitchen floor covered in flour. Did I give him high fives? Yes, I did. So that's my bad. So now I have been in contact, physical contact, with someone who's sick. So we'll see how the rest of the calendar plays out, but I'm banking on my immune system kicking everything's ass. Speaking of kicking ass, I'm about to smell this sample and figure out what it is in 6 smells or less. America, my Golden Glen and my Green Glen are clean, but they're in the other room. Could I get up and get it for the calendar? For you, the viewers, the people? Sure. But I'll get it for tomorrow. Giving myself 6 smells today to venture a guess of what is in this glass. Then after that, we'll review it. One, 2, 3. There's a friggin' chicken in a slow cooker in the kitchen over there, and that's kind of all I'm smelling right now, is friggin' chicken. 4th smell. 6. Pretty sure that was 6. That was either 5 or 6. Pretty sure I got to 6. After giving this glass 6 sniffs in succession, I would be very confident in saying that it is definitely not what I'm about to guess because I have no clue. But I'm gonna guess 1792. Small batch. Why am I guessing that? I don't know. It's providing me with a bit of a basic bourbon nose. It's kind of a basic Christmas bitch. And by basic, I mean I can't tell if it's a bourbon or a rye for sure yet. So how basic could it possibly be? I guess I was just insulting it because I couldn't figure it out. Instead of internalizing my own problems, I'd just deflect and blame this. Sometimes it's good to self-reflect on day 6 of an advent calendar. Other days, you should be less self-reflective because you look so fat in the mirror. And by you, I'm definitely not talking about me. There is a bit of a spice to this which makes me think that it could possibly be a low rye, like, I don't know, some sort of a Kentucky rye. But being honest with you, I'm having a hard time differentiating between the spice on this and the spice on the chicken. Now diving deeper into the glass with Frosty's gigantic nose, I'm picking up a bit of a breadiness, some sort of a yeasty quality is aromating out of here. It's a very nice dough. Not a sweet dough, not a sourdough, but just kind of like a dough. I'm assuming this is some sort of a lower proof Kentucky bourbon or possibly a Kentucky rye. Can't quite tell yet, but I don't think based off of the nose that this is a super special pour. It's not exhilarating. It's not emoting desire and pleasure to my face or other places. It's definitely a whiskey, which does some stuff, but doesn't go the extra mile. Just kind of smells like an everyday average sipper. Something that you could get delivered to your house. Door Dasher, Door Dancer, Door Prancer, Door Vixen, Door Comet, Door Cupid, Door Donner, Door Blitzen. Door Blitzen would be a much better name than Door Dasher. Am I right? Who would you expect to get you your food and drink first? Door Dasher or Door Blitzen? I'm going Door Blitzen every time. Door Cupid sounds like an app that would be illegal, as does Door Dancer and Door Vixen. If you felt like being eaten, then you would probably call Door Donner. Or wait, that's Door Dahmer. Never mind. Day number 6 down the hatch. Higher proof than what I was expecting. We're talking like 1 teens, maybe? It was the rye spice I was nosing and not the chicken spice, because what is in this glass is definitely a rye whiskey. Unless, of course, I'm wrong, in which case, forget I said that. It's like crystallized sugars and burnt caramels on top of that rye spice. It's not a dilly rye, it's more of like a sweet rye. Am I convinced that it's a Kentucky rye and not a rye from elsewhere? No, because the ryeness came out without shyness as soon as I put it in my mouth. That is put together very nicely. If you took a really delicious rye whiskey and then turned it into a brittle, not a peanut brittle, but a rye whiskey brittle, it's kind of what like that reminds me of, like a whiskey brittle. It really shines up the inside of your mouth, kind of like hits every angle in your mouth with like a prickler, like it's poking all over the place. I would say that the viscosity on it is mildly oily, not extremely oily, but it does linger around quite a bit. The finish is nice. The back of the palate remains this bright, crystallized rye sugar that just kind of sits there and hangs out. Based off the other aromatics in the house, it's really difficult for me to grasp entirely how much I enjoy this. I do feel like this is a super satisfactory sipper, and I'm not mad about it at all. Tasting things blind like this makes me so happy, because it makes me think, it makes me use my imagination. What could this possibly be? What am I tasting? What does this remind me of? Anything negative that's happening in my head kind of gets pushed aside for a second, and then I just think about the whiskey. But I feel like that's why whiskey enthusiasts enjoy it so much, is because it's not just sitting around drinking meaninglessly, wow, now I'm totally lost. Meaninglessly? You're not just sitting around
meaninglessly
drinking. I feel like people who enjoy tasting whiskey, they do it as sort of like a mind test, kind of an experiment. It's like entering an unknown world that challenges your brain. It's like a video game for your liver and your taste buds. Today, on day 6 of this Minnesota Whiskey Elite Blind Whiskey Tasting Advent Calendar, brought to you proudly by ADHD Whiskey, this sample receives a score from me of 7.35. It is good. It is good. It doesn't sweep me off my feet, partially because I weigh nearly 300 pounds, but also because it's just good enough to be good without expending any extra unnecessary energy. So let's see what we were drinking on day number 6. My damn fireplace was shut off this entire time. My fireplace was frozen this entire time and you didn't even tell me? I have to relight it. I have to relight my fireplace. No, wrong remote. Son of a bitch. I had that perfect. There. Well, looks like we're gonna do the reveal in some sort of purple tones. Idiot. Today, we were drinking Old Elk Weeded Bourbon, 5-year-old, single barrel pick, 117.2 proof. There was a moment when I was nosing it, when I started picking up on the dough notes, that the thought of a weeded bourbon crossed my mind for a split second. And then I went all in on rye. So there's no rye in this recipe whatsoever. I flubbed up. I flubbed up, guys. I flubbed up hard. Do I blame me, or do I blame the chicken that's cooking in the slow cooker? It'd be really easy to blame that chicken, but today I'm gonna take the blame. I'll take the fall for this, and for the lighting. I'll take the fall for everything. Well, sadly, that wraps up this 6th day of this Advent calendar. Turns out, when I smell something a little bit different in a whiskey, my brain plays a little bit of tricksy, because I smelled a different note and I immediately jumped to it being a rye note. Realistically, there's no excuse for that, because if it were a wheat whiskey, then I could see myself associating a completely different smell than bourbon with a rye, when it wasn't a rye, but instead purely wheat. But it wasn't purely wheat, it was just wheat in a corn mash bill of bourbon. So that was bad. That was bad. That was my worst performance. 117 proof, I got that off first sip, pretty close. But this Blackwell's hand-selected wheated Old Elk bourbon is pretty good. I enjoyed that. Thanks, Minnesota Whiskey Elite. Until tomorrow, my name is Matt. This is ADHD Whiskey. Like I always say, keep your head in the clouds, but your mind on fixing things correctly so that... No! Down, boy. No. 50, 20, 20. It's too dark. Oh, maybe that's perfect. I can't really tell because it was so bright. What was I even saying? Oh, fix things before I'll be back tomorrow, and tomorrow will be better. If tomorrow's not better, then I'll see you on the 8th, which will be better. And if it's still not better, then I'll see you on the 9th. And if things are still falling apart on the 9th, then look forward to seeing you on the 10th, where I can guarantee I'll try to make things better once again. Eventually, things will either get better or they'll stay shit. And if they stay shit, then this should be a great advent calendar. Love you all. See you tomorrow. Kiss missiles right at you. Goodbye. Good night. You stupid idiot. Is my mic on? That's good.